are 15 hidden Roblox Bedwars skills that your enemies fear. Also, subscribe. Now, for the first skill, we have hitting your enemies from behind the wall with the Sheila Kit. Now, essentially, what you want to do for this skill is you want to have your enemy be lined up against the wall and then charge up your Sheila ability. And then when your enemies get close enough, activate your ability and you can get an extra hit off your opponents before the fight even starts. This will give you a major combo boost and it will definitely help you out winning that early game fight so you can take your opponent's bed. I tend to use this skill a lot in early game, especially if I'm trying to get a nice quick combo on my enemies, because to be honest, that is the best way to win at the start of the game. Anyways, for the next hidden skill that your enemies fear, we have using the million lasso strategy to outplay your opponents. Now, this skill is definitely not for the faint of heart. This is only for the best of players, and this skill basically involves jumping in the void, activating your lasso, and then teleporting it back to safety. This skill is only used by the top players because of how hard it is to master, but if you just repeat these steps really quickly, then you'll become a master at it. Basically, you want to have your cursor already aimed at your opponent and then jump in the void. And then as soon as you jump in the void, activate your lasso, switch your teleport, and then click without even moving your mouse cursor. This is by far the easiest way to do this trick, and it is very effective. Especially if your opponents have way better gear than you, it is probably the best way to eliminate them. Anyways, for the next best hidden skill, we have catching a combo with a telepel. Now picture this, if you have gone with a perfectly even combo with your enemy and they've just disengaged from the fight, the absolute best thing you can do is teleport at their feet, because then you can get an extra swing on your opponent as well as catching them off guard to ensure that you win that PvP fight. I see a lot of people utilizing this strategy in ranked games because of how effective it is at catching combos, and a lot of the top players also tend to do this in their solos games as well if they want to win all of their PvP fights. To be honest, the only reason why people don't use this strategy more often is because they simply don't know how effective it is. It is probably the best and easiest way to catch a combo on your enemies at the cost of 2 emeralds. Anyways, this next best strategy involves the best way to move around the map, and that is combining the Sheila Kit with the fireball. Now, recently the Sheila Kit has been buffed to where the cooldown only lasts 2 seconds and the jump distance is a lot further than it used to be. And when you combine that with the fireball, you can easily combine it to get an ultra mega jump boost. It is honestly so effective at boosting you forward that I actually find myself boosting myself way too far into the void simply because of how effective this strategy is. If you're in middle trying to escape an enemy, this is definitely the best way to go about it if you're using the Sheila Kit. If you have the Sheila Kit, the Void Region, or the Sheila Kit, you should definitely start using this skill in your next game if you want to get that extra distance on your opponents. This is also pretty good for rushing as well, simply because you can easily catch up to your opponents or easily rush beds with this simple movement strategy. And for the next best skill that you guys can use, we have an OG classic skill, and that is getting high ground over your opponents to get an easy combo. Now, previously, I did say teleports were the best and easiest way to get combos, but this is honestly just as effective. If you buy a few extra blocks and you tower over your opponents and drop down, you will get an extra hit off of your opponents simply because they won't be able to reach you from up there. You'll be able to anticipate that you're going to drop down and hit your opponents before they even realize it. And if you continue doing this and do this multiple times, you'll get tons of hits of your enemies and they won't be able to deal any damage to you. Just make sure that while towering up, they don't hit you or it'll stop up your bridge and you will end up getting comboed yourself. Definitely do this at the early stages of the game if you do want to catch a quick combo on your enemies, and you can watch my previous video after this video, of course, if you want to know how you can do this strategy at the early stages of the game super effectively. Anyways, the next best skill that you guys can use is utilizing your kits correctly. You can use any sort of PvP kit to get a massive advantage over your opponents, and it will definitely help you out a ton when destroying your opponents. But you may be asking yourself, hang on a second, I don't have any PvP kits. What is the best way to get them for free? Well, alright, let me tell you guys a little secret. I'm actually giving my subscribers who are early to my videos a free kit for themselves. So if you are early to this video video and my next video, comment your username down below, and of course like the video, turn on the post notifications, and I may slide you guys a free kit. But anyways, let's not get too caught up here, because the next best skill that you guys can use is lining up your bow shots. Now, if you love using the bow a lot, this secret skill is definitely for you, because if you line up your bow shots and anticipate your opponent's movement, you can actually hit very far bow shots. Basically, to do this skill effectively, you have to anticipate your opponent's movement. You have to aim your cursor in front where you think they're gonna move, and then release your cursor to release the bow shot. If you do this correctly, you'll be able to easily hit your opponents from all distances, and it is really effective at outplaying your opponents. I tend to use this skill quite a lot when playing with the bow, and since I like to use the archer kit quite a lot, it definitely helps out. And obviously, the better bow you have, the less bullet travel there's gonna be, so you don't need to account for the bullet drop and the bullet travel as much. Anyways, for the next skill, a lot of people aren't gonna like this, and a lot of people are gonna love this, and that is to bring the hammer back into the game by using the Alatunde kit. Now, if you guys didn't know, the Alatunde kit actually has a lot of similar properties to the OG hammer that was in Season 8. Just by upgrading the damage on the Alatunde's hammer, you can basically transform it into becoming what used to be the OG hammer. A lot of people are going to look at this skill and be like, oh my gosh, what is this guy talking about? But if you just keep upgrading the hammer's damage, you'll have a super deadly weapon and no one is going to be able to destroy you. Just like the OG days with the hammer. Anyways, for this next skill, if you really want to outplay your opponents, using this bridging method may be the best way to do it, and that is telebridging. Now, telebridging used to be this skill that only the top players would use to flex on their opponents, but there actually is a couple good use cases for it. If you're on a straight bridge and you want to outplay your opponents and maybe trap them in a little box, you can actually telebridge backwards while they're chasing you, and they'll run straight into your bridge, and you can drop down and get a nice couple hits off of them. Definitely the absolute best way to confuse your opponents as well as flexing on them at the exact same time. I tend to do this quite a lot in my solos games, especially if I have bought way too many blocks, and honestly, it is pretty simple to do. Basically, all you need to do to telebridge is just aim your cursor down and then just butterfly click as fast as you can, so you can then telebridge. Anyways, for this next skill, we have using blocks to block your enemy's combos. This is actually a super effective secret strategy that not many people actually talk about in the Roblox Bedwars community, but if you place down blocks in front of you, it's actually going to block your enemy's hit trajectory, and you're going to be able to anticipate their movements a lot better and get a really nice combo on them. Here's an example of me doing this in-game, and as you can see, I've placed down 4 blocks in a square-like pattern, and I was able to kill my enemy twice with him barely leaving me on 50 HP. And that just shows how effective that strategy is. I was able to kill him twice and he wasn't even able to touch me. This definitely proves that this strategy is very, very effective, and I would strongly recommend using this if you really want to outplay your opponents. Anyways, for this next best skill, I thought I would include this because the Ember kit is free, and that is using the Ember and Lumen kit to get a cheaper diamond sword. But if you guys didn't know this, the Ember and Lumen kit's diamond sword is actually 1 emerald cheaper than the regular diamond sword, and it does the exact same amount of damage, and it has a cool little ability. So you can actually just rush mid all the sides to get an easier diamond sword, and you don't even need to buy any of the era upgrades. It is just straight in the shop ready to be purchased. Definitely pick up this skill if you really want to get a cheap diamond sword. If you don't want to flesh out 4 emeralds for a diamond sword, maybe 3, maybe getting 3 instead is a lot better option for you, because then you can spend those emeralds on stuff like telebows, crossbows, and whatever you want. Anyways, for this next best strategy, this is definitely the cheekiest strategy on this list, and that is getting the double enchants to completely destroy your opponents. Now, still to this day, ever since Season 9 came out about a month ago, the double enchants have been the most overpowered thing that they've added. Basically, it's in the name. You get 2 enchants after you get the enlightenment stage, and then once you get the enlightened stage by buying like a crap ton of the era upgrades, get the advanced advanced enchants, and then you will be absolutely unstoppable. You could be undergeared like crazy, and you will still win every single PvP fight because of how overpowered the double enchants are. Shell out 2 emeralds just to get one of those enchants, and you'll destroy absolutely everyone. But do be wary of the 180-second timer, because it will come and bite you in the bum if you're not watching out for it. Anyways, this next skill involves using the Sheila Kit to get a crazy PvP advantage over your opponents. The Sheila Kit is probably one of the best kits in the game now, simply because it's sort of similar to the Ares kit, and it also heals you. It also minimizes the risk factor that you get from having 90 HP, and all you need to do is deal damage to your opponents instead of getting kills. If you just keep passively doing damage to everyone in the lobby by using the bow or just engaging in every PvP fight, your seahorses with the Sheila Kit are going to be super overpowered. Not only that, the Sheila Kit is a really good early game kit because it does begin to heal you once you get a couple kills off of your opponents. If you don't, for whatever reason, know what the Sheila Kit does, basically it was a kit that was released a couple years ago, and basically you get this seahorse and it heals you and does damage to your opponents. If your opponents are running away from you and they're super low, the seahorse will deal damage to them and you can get an easy kill on your opponents. Anyways, for this next best strategy, we have using the archer kit and the iron arrows to deal some deadly projectile damage. Now, Bedwars recently added the iron arrows, and they are probably one of the most overpowered things in the game. Combine that with the archer kit, and it is the absolute best combo that you could possibly dream of. If you love using the bow, this skill is definitely for you. This will require you to get 16 diamonds and 6 emeralds so you can get the arrow upgrade, the iron arrows, and enough emeralds to get the tactical crossbow. But once you do get all of that, have fun destroying the lobby with your insane projectile damage, because it is just the most overpowered thing in the game. Combine that with enchants, damage upgrades, and the monarch, and oh my gosh, you'll be doing more damage than a rage blade. Anyways, guys, for the next skill, we have using the ninja kit and the sword to get a crazy early game combo. Now, all you need to do to use this skill effectively is save up 20 iron to get the ninja star, and then rush your opponents. You can use a ninja star to get some rough range damage on your opponents, and then as well as combining it with a sword, you'll do some insane damage. The stone shuriken does the exact same amount of damage as the wooden sword, so if you can just get one extra hit off of your opponents, you'll definitely be winning that PvP fight.